'Cause I just know you got me thinking about forever. Got a crush, crush, crush on you. I just wanna.
Hey guys, welcome to Life with Kimmi
and Jeff. How y'all doing?
Hey, so we're doing things a little bit different around here these days. We decided we just want to chop it up about life. Many of you are in your 50s and have experienced some things or going through some things, and you don't have anybody to talk it out with you. So we're going to be sharing some of the decisions that we've made, and hopefully it will help you. We'll be talking about finances, travel, all the things. So today we're talking about, do we regret not having children? Do we regret not having children? So we're going to hop right into it, and we're going to tell you our experiences, pros and cons, and hopefully it will help some of you out there that may be struggling with that same decision. Do you regret not having children?
Well, for us, I can say that we don't, because we've talked about it before over the years. We will be, this year, we'll be married 33 years. And so we've got a lot of nieces and nephews. We actually had a daycare some years ago, watching, not babies, but we were watching little kids like elementary school kids, like in kindergarten to early elementary school kids. And it was nice. We like kids. I mean, it's not that we don't like children. We just decided that we weren't going to have any. So I can say that we don't regret it. And it's a choice, depending on your background or your culture that you come from. You may figure that, hey, we got to have a bunch of kids as soon as we get married, or your significant other, we got to have kids left and right, or have 2 or 3 kids or 1 kid or whatever. But for us, we decided to say, no, we don't want any kids. And like I said before, we don't regret it. It's a life choice. And now, every now and then, and I say every now and then, it's literally every now and then, like once every 5 years, we'll come up with a discussion and say, hey, did you regret, or what's going to happen as we get older? But we got so many family and friends and young people that we've helped over the years, that we have a big community that we're part of. So we're not necessarily worried about someone's going to be there to take care of us. Now,
I don't know. I'll share my thoughts. That's Jeffrey's opinion.
Well, here's the thing. Just because you have kids don't mean that they're going to be there to do something for you.
That's true. That doesn't mean that they're going to be there.
I know a lot of, over the years, different folks that as they gotten up in age, and well, I'll get into this. I'll let Kim talk about this point. But the business that we have, doing notary work, we've been to a lot of clients' homes where it may be the grandchildren that's taking care of their grandparent, whereas the children are not involved for whatever list of reasons. And you can kind of tell there might be some tension or what have you. So that's what we've experienced. I don't know if you want to pick up on that, because you said you had a different
and for me, I don't regret not having children, but often throughout the years people have asked me, like, for example, since we don't have children, we've been married so long, or when you told them how long I was married, when I would tell people how long, rather, like 10 years, 15 years, they're like, you can't have babies, or people would say comments like that would kind of hurt sometimes. And people sometimes make you feel a little bit less than, just a little bit, not often, because you don't have children. So that can be a little challenging. And like Jeffrey said, we chose not to have children. We never tried to have a baby. But for those people that have tried to have a baby and could not have one, that may look different for you. Or people may make you feel even worse about it, because you wanted it and you tried it. Your body maybe couldn't support having babies. Maybe you never found the right person to have a baby with, and age crept upon you before you knew it. So everybody's life journey is going to look a little bit different when it comes to that. And again, for myself, occasionally when people will talk about having babies and children and stuff, that will trigger something in me. I mean, just a wee bit. I've had people make statements like, well, you don't have children, so you don't understand. Well, I don't have to have had children to understand certain things. Some stuff is just life. And I get what they're saying. Like somebody that's married will have different experiences than someone that's not married. So those comments though can still be triggering. You know, have you ever had anyone say that to you when you don't have children, so you don't understand, you know, or try to make you feel less than, like Jeffrey said, or they assume that I don't like children. We don't like children because we don't have any, which is the furthest thing from the truth. We had our daycare, as Jeffrey mentioned, and we also had, I worked at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, Children's Hospital, for 8 years here in Atlanta. And I love working there. I love children, other people's children. And part of our decision was because your girl just kind of lazy. It's all about Kimmi. I already knew I didn't want to do diapers. I didn't want to do all of that. And I think another part of it, when we first got married and we left the city, we're from Detroit. And because my mother didn't live right near me, I think that a little bit to do with it. If my mom had to live closer and my family had been a little bit closer, I probably would have drank the baby water too, or tried to. But again, it was just Jeff and I, and I was good with that. I really was. I still am. So that being the case, though, I don't want anyone to feel bad about the choices that you're making to not have children. If you made that choice, you don't have to feel bad. We're going to give you some tips on how to deal with the fact that you don't have children as you continue to age, because that's what Jeffrey was saying. He didn't feel any certain way, but I do think about that now, especially that I've lost my parents. I'm like, well, who's going to hand me a cup of water? My mother would always ask me that. Who's going to hand you a cup of water when you get older? And that's something that now, not having my mom, my dad, I think about more. As I think about death a little bit more. You know, if something happens to my husband, it's just me who is going to help take care of me. And to this point, I have nieces. My sister and my brother are still living. So and then we have a huge community that we're part of. So I pray somebody will come through for me. But I do think about that a little bit more now that we don't have children, you know, to be honest, Jeff.
And that's a normal thing to think about, especially, you know, because we're in our 50s, our mid 50s now. When we were 30, you know, 40, like I said, it was every blue moon that we would even talk about it. But now that you're in your 50s, you start thinking about life. And when you start losing, like she says, family members, particularly parents, then, you know, that it gets you to thinking about where you are in your life. However, having said that, there are some things, you may not have one thing, let's say you may not have kids, but there are other things that you can think about it from a different perspective, you know. So we'll give you a couple of tips. The first thing we want to mention is that everyone's life path is different. Depending, let's say you're married or you're not married, and then you have a significant other, but you have to think about what happens if we try to compare ourselves to other people and say, well, they're doing something, they have kids, and that's usually what happens when you hang with people. You know, the birds of a feather flock together, right? So if you're hanging with a lot of people that's having babies, then it's natural for you to start saying, oh, well, maybe I should start having some kids too. And we've got some friends that are doing the same thing around us there, but they're younger than us. They're a good 20 years younger than us. And so now one's pregnant, another one else is pregnant. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, just reflect on your different life experiences, what you're doing as far as how you're living your life, career-wise, or just your lifestyle. You may not really have that mindset.
Oh, I love you said that. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to interrupt. Mm-hmm. And y'all going to say something, don't cut him off. Mm-hmm. But that's another thing, too, for women. You may not be naturally bent to want to have children. I was not that person. I wasn't always like, oh, I can't wait till I grow up and have a baby. It didn't make me any less of a woman. I grew up and I did quite well, but people will make you feel bad about that. And now it's more popular, though. It really is. Actually, the number of births is going down. I think people just want to enjoy themselves and just enjoy life. And that's another one of those perks. And like Jeff said, birds of a feather flock together. Most of our closest friends that we hang with, travel with, they do not have children. But our other friends that do have children, their children are like our children because we've helped to raise some of them. You know, we've helped counsel some of them and give them tips and be there as they've taken milestones and when they've gotten married. And I often will tell people, you know what, thank you for sharing your child with me. I had one of our friends, her daughter invited us to come when she was getting married to view the wedding dress, and that touched me so much. You know, many others have had Jeffrey be a part of their wedding some kind of way, officiated, or either walk them down the aisle. So we've been so blessed to be a part of other people's and their children's lives, that part of us that is naturally ingrained to have children has been fulfilled. It really has. So some of the perks, though, we'll go back to a few more of the perks, is that it allows us the freedom to travel. So if you're a younger person and you're like, well, dog, do I want to have children? Do I not? Again, some of the perks is you can do your life without the distractions. You know, you can travel, you can build your business, have a stronger marriage. A lot of times people start having babies right away. Their marriage ain't even secure or a good foundation. And next thing you know, oops, we're pregnant. When I was getting married, my auntie was like, hey, Kim, ain't no accidents. Okay. And I knew what she meant. So I never played around. So don't be that person to be like, oops, it was a mistake. No, if you want children, you know what to do not to have them in this day and age. If you want them, you know what to do so you can have them in this day and age. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more really quick about difficult moments. Because there are moments, again, when I feel like sometimes like, maybe we should have thought about it a little bit more. Maybe not. Okay. And that's when it comes to family gatherings. Now, especially since I don't have my parents, that's tricky for me. People are like, well, don't you want to celebrate this? I'm like, no, I'm good. Me and Jeff, we can just do it together. Because the main people I want to celebrate with are not here. That would be my parents, you know. My nieces and nephews, yeah. But sometimes, you know, they get older. They all have their own lives and stuff. So, you know, gatherings and stuff make it tricky. I'm like, oh, I wish I did have a big family. Or for me, I'll be truly transparent. And you guys be careful of this. When I'm looking at social media and I see some people that I've known and now their children are having children, and, you know, now they got the grandkids and they have these big pictures and parties and, you know, like 3-4 generations. That is something that I love, because I love family like that, right? So that piece sometimes is a little difficult for me to say, wow. But I'm not jealous. I'm really more proud, because I'm like, I know what they went through to raise those kids. You know what I'm saying? So those heartaches and stuff that I didn't have to endure, I know what they went through. And now to see the end result and see them and their children doing well, it's like, it's beautiful. You know, and sometimes I am like that. I'm like, we would have raised a beautiful family. Mm-hmm. You know, I pray they would have turned out okay. They could have been nuts. Mm-hmm. So that part can be a little challenging, you know, sometimes.
Yeah. So to kind of sum things up, we've talked about a few things. One, that everyone's life path is different, and try to avoid trying to compare your life to someone else and saying that, well, I could have did it that way. Try to avoid that. Don't compare yourself to someone else's. Focus on the things that you personally gained, whether it might be the freedom to travel or to build your own business or strengthen your marriage or to have a better relationship with your parents if they're still alive. Also, you want to be honest about how to deal with the difficult moments, because there are going to be times when it's harder. Not having children, and you see, for example, people, they may celebrate the holidays, or as you get older, or family gatherings, or looking at pictures like you mentioned on social media, or just family pictures of other folks, and you say, oh my goodness, I could have done this. That goes back to not comparing. But at the same time, what you can do is you build your own family, meaning you have your own sets of friends, relatives, aunts, uncles. You can build on that, in opposed to just looking and say, I don't have this, because there's so many other things in life that you can have. And then the final thing is to define your own legacy, meaning what are you known to be? How do you carry yourself? How do you, when you show up, there's a phrase I heard, I don't know if it was on Oprah or something, when you walk into the room, what do you add when you walk into the room? In other words, you know, when they see you coming, do they say, oh my goodness, here he's coming, or here she's coming? Or it's like, hey, we're glad to see you. It's kind of like the Cheers, you know, and Cheers, when, if you remember that show back in the 80s, and whenever someone walk in the bar and they say, hey, Norm, or whoever it was, and then everyone's happy to see you. You know, that I'm going to start singing a song. Everybody knows your name, and always glad to see, always glad you came, or something like that. So everybody knows your name. Yeah, so you want to have that type of personality so that people love to see you. And then by having such a big community around you already, as you do get older and things happen, then you will have that community. Because like I said to you, was mentioned before, just because you got kids don't mean that they're going to be there for you. You know, fortunately for us, we have that. We care for our parents. My mom is still living, and we do, each one of us, because I have 3 siblings, and so we're all part and, you know, still taking care, helping mom. But from the perspective of build your own legacy, how you carry yourself, and when you do it from that angle, folks, you'll be able to step back and say, hey, I mean, I have kids, and like I said, this is, when you get to this point in life, you can step back and reflect. And so for us, again, to kind of wrap it all up, no, we don't regret not having children. We do think about it. And maybe some things that we've mentioned can help you if you're kind of sitting in that moment and you're just kind of looking out the window and say, well, I could have did this, or why didn't I, you know, regarding kids is concerned. It might help you to just have a different perspective and look at things a little bit different. Yeah.
And my last concluding thought would be, now everything is all about legacy. Leave a legacy. You know, like Jeff said, your legacy could be helping other people, helping neighbors. Like our neighbors, one has lost her husband, the other one is single, they're in their 70s. Sometimes Jeff will have to do something to help them. He's changed light bulbs for them. And, you know, so again, your legacy doesn't have to be children that you birth, you know. Your legacy could be helping people, you know. Use that extra energy and time to help people in your faith, in your neighborhood. You know, enjoy yourself. You know, just plain enjoy yourself. A lot of people just don't have time for themselves. And having children nowadays is not just a 20-year project. It's like a forever and ever and ever and ever project. When I was growing up, you get 18, you move by. But I still ask my parents for stuff in my 30s, 40s, 50s. You know, but it's a never-ending project. So whether you do or you don't, it's a personal choice. Again, we just wanted to share with you, do we regret it? And that would be a firm no. All right, guys. Well, until next time, we wish you much success and enjoy this life.
All right. We'll see you in a little bit. Bye now.